Here we go.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, and good morning. It's 11 o'clock. You know what time it is. WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial. Dothan, Alabama. Real Talk with Herschel. Now, we're going to do this a little different today. We don't have any music. We're having some problems. So we're going to do this a little bit different. So we're going to start off like this, Antoine. The views expressed today on this show are those of Antoine, myself, and our in-studio guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views of TOPS, WKCG, and or its management, no matter how insightful it may be. They are our views and our views alone. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, comments, or complaints, please send them to Real Talk with Herschel, realtalkwithherschel@gmail.com. Now, what's Real Talk about? Real Talk is about talking dirty, saying some dirty things, saying some nasty things. That's what Real Talk is about. It's about pissing off some folks. We're going to talk about it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about black nationalism. We're going to talk about black power. Black power. And being unapologetically black. That's what Real Talk is about. Now, we do this every week so that no one can hijack our message and tell us what we're here for. We're here for love, not for hate. We're here for love, not for hate. Love starts at home, however. And you have to love yourself. So black power is the call of the day. What is black power? Controlling what goes on in your community. Controlling what your children are taught, what you eat. Controlling your finances. Controlling your destiny. Controlling the law that you are governed by. That is true black power. Black power is about equality, not supremacy. Let me repeat it. Black power is about equality. The ability to negotiate for ourselves as a people. Not to be told what to do. Not to accept the crumbs from master's table. To negotiate on equal footing. Equal, not supreme. Black nationalism. Controlling the land. Controlling the land. You cannot control yourself or your money if you don't own the land on which you live. We have to control the land. Black nationalism is about sovereignty. It's about us being, I was on a run. It's about us being in solidarity with all peoples that are colonized and under the white supremacist thumb. It's about equality. Don't let anybody fool you. People are uncomfortable because they don't want to deal with the ugly truth. Black nationalism is what we hear about. Black power is what we hear about. And they all start with black love. Love of oneself. Love of one's community. Love for our people. Love for our women and our children and our men. Defending one another. Not letting outside interlopers come into our community and taking our women, taking our men, taking our children, standing up for one another. How can we be in so in love with this Western society and this culture that don't look like us, that don't love us, and hate each other? It's about loving ourselves. It's about being unapologetically black, being proud of that kinky hair, being proud of this nose and this dark skin. Whatever shade it comes in, from albino to midnight blue. We're all the same. Whether we like it or not is what we have to understand. What I'm speaking is the truth. I'm speaking reality. The way it should be is something else, but this is the reality. We are separated and segregated and demonized because of this skin. So we have to rally around the same thing and learn to love ourselves, work for ourselves, to build our own, have our own schools, our own hospitals, our own networks, our own financial institutions. This is black power, and this is black nationalism.
But you know, even above and beyond going there, Herschel, we have to remember that we have to survive until we get to that point. We have to ensure that we have guaranteed housing. We have to ensure that we have guaranteed health care. We have to ensure that we are being paid what our labor is worth. And we have to ensure that as working class people that we are able to both remain in solidarity with ourselves and remain in solidarity with other workers for the benefit of our people and our community, Herschel.
Exactly right, Antoine. Well said. And again, that's Antoine. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, this is not a one-man show ranting and raving on a soapbox. It's two of us. Those of you that are tuned in on Facebook, you see sitting beside me this pretty young lady. Well, she's pretty. I don't know how young she is, but pretty lady. You know, my good friend Pamela Curry, and you know, I asked her to come anytime she feels the need to come, because she has a story and she has help for those in need, that are in need, our young ladies, because her story is unfortunately, is not a
unique one.
A unique story. It is a very common story, unfortunately. So we want to welcome Pam Curry back to the show. Don't worry about this. We got you there too. Yeah. So those of you who are tuned in, again, start your watch parties. Get your mama, get your daddy, get your children, gather around the radio and around the screen, and let's get ready to roll. So we're going to jump right in. Pam, just reintroduce yourself to our listening and watching audience, please.
Well, my name is Pamela Curry, and I'm from Dothan, Alabama. And basically, I'm here as a voice for the formerly incarcerated female that's been locked up in Alabama. I'm here to give points of views of my experiences, the things that I went through, the things that I've seen, the things that I know of that is knowledgeable. I'm not going to give you a secondhand story that nobody else is telling. I'm not giving you no he say, she say. I'm giving you straight from my experience. Everybody has a different experience, it's not, like he said, it's not a unique experience because it's very common here in Alabama with a lot of women that is incarcerated. But by me being formerly incarcerated, I can let you understand some of the things that go on inside the prison system, some of the things that you have to deal with once you come outside of the prison system, and some of the things that you have to deal with as far as your personal life, period, and growing and to becoming, I'm not going to say a citizen, because it's not even about becoming a citizen. It's about becoming you, becoming the person that you are supposed to be again.
All right. As usual, very well said. For those of you who don't know, well, let me do it like this. I'll let you tell. I'll just ask a question. So you were formerly
Three armed robbery charges, class A felony, and one theft of property.
And what was your sentence?
I went in prison with 55 years over my head. Once I got in the prison system after a year, I got into the law library, came back to court, and I got 20 of those years to run CC, which is running concurrent with the 35. So I ended up with 35 years total, and I did 11 years in, well, not just in Tutwiler, but we'll get to that. But I did 11 years that I was locked up total.
I want to ask a question before we actually get into the meat of your sentence and the meat of your story, which is a fantastic story that needs to be shared. But you said something striking earlier in your intro. You said you had to, after you became formally incarcerated, you had to go on a journey to become you again. How did prison take you away?
Because once you go behind those prison walls, they dehumanize you.
How?
They make you, because you're no longer you. You're no longer, I'm no longer a person. I'm no longer Pam. I'm an inmate, or I'm a convict. They're gonna classify you by your AIS number. You're no longer a person to them. You're a number. And that's what they go by. They go by your number, and they go by how many beds they can keep full. That's all they care about. The only way that you know your name is whenever you get mail called. Other than that, you don't know who you are except for you are not identified by anything but your AIS number. So and I mean it goes deeper than that. I mean it's so much. But that's the first step that you have to learn when you go in that prison system is the fact that you're no longer you. You are a number. You're those 6 numbers, and that's what you got to learn to recite on point.
Wow, Antoine, very good question. I just want to set the table because and what I mean by set the table, I want to get a little more stuff out.
Oh yeah, I understand.
That question was coming, but you want to see where it's going. Now, so you got 3 Class A felonies,
Mm-hmm.
and you got 55 years.
Yes.
How old were you?
I was 22.
Okay. Had you ever been in trouble before?
No.
Okay. Now, so a first-time offender, first-time youthful offender. I'm just setting the table because this is the way the law is supposed to work. So first-time youthful offender, you get, it sounds like the max.
Yes.
Did you have children at the time?
Yes, I had one daughter.
So first-time offender, a mother, and a youthful offender. And you throw the book at this person because there are no redemptive qualities. Oh, that's because you're black. I'm sorry. Because I know we both know white counterparts. We know our white counterparts that have got probation and other things for your same crimes, correct?
Right.
Okay. I'm just trying to set the table now. So we have a young black woman, a young black mother, 22 years old, never been in trouble with the law, supposed law, and you have a run-in with the law, and you're convicted of 3 non-violent crimes, right?
No, they're violent.
They're violent?
They're considered violent.
Did you hurt somebody?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just.
But
Wait. Did they ever produce a weapon?
No.
Okay. And do you understand what I'm saying, Antoine? So she was charged with armed robbery. Where's the weapon? Where's the weapon? She's a youthful offender and a mother, and none of this is taken into account in her sentencing. 55 years for a 22-year-old mother. First time offense, no weapon. They charged her with a weapon. Where's the weapon? You got to produce. You understand what I'm saying? So, you said that you got charged and you got sent to Tutwiler.
Yeah.
And
The infamous Tutwiler.
the infamous Tutwiler.
Yes.
I'm just trying to lay this table out so you can do your thing. So every time I talk about it, just.
And while Herschel is thinking, I just want to remind everybody that when we say her story is unique, this is something that the
It's not
state,
unique.
this is something the state of Alabama feels a license to do to black women generally. And what they do is they target black women who don't have means. They target black women who may or may not have the quote unquote proper education or proper resume. They target black women who are already viewed as expendable when they're free, but who can be easily forgotten if sentences this egregious are thrown at them. So we want people to know that when we're talking about Pam, we're talking about somebody who's an encapsulation of how Alabama can treat black people generally. And I think that that's something we need to keep in mind when we see situations like this. When our history or when our discussions of racism exclude the people who face one of its ugliest facets, we want to individualize. We want to say it's your fault for making bad decisions. We want to say that the crime that you end up facing is the crime you deserve or whatever. But unfortunately, the problem is that when we remove the incarcerated from our stories, we're removing the kinds of black people like you who can contribute to their community and who weren't given a chance to at their most formative years.
Yes.
Very good. I got my thoughts together, Antoine. I got my emotions together. My thoughts are together.
Yeah. You just needed some deep breaths.
Okay, now, so you're a single mother. Who had your baby?
at the time between her father and my mother.
Okay. So, again, mother taken away, father has to step in, grandparents have to step in. Did they give her any money? She got welfare for your baby?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just, see what I'm saying? So, no extra money. Just nothing. Just the family has to fend for themselves. So, my point to all of this is when we talk about people that are incarcerated, it's not just the person. It affects the whole family. We cannot throw our people away. We cannot say, well, she's in there because she deserves to be in. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the crime. All I have to know is that they've never produced a weapon. You are a youthful offender. So whatever it was, there was no consideration taken in. We seen rapists go free because the judge didn't want to ruin the young boy's life. You understand what I'm saying? And Pam's story, unfortunately, is not a unique one. It's all too common. So you go to Tutwiler, you get processed in, you get your new cellmate, boom, 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 boom. How was the transition, or tell us a little bit about the transition from just going from being out to all of a sudden being in this hellhole? Because we know about Tutwiler. Well, we thought we knew about Tutwiler. I'm sorry. I had to tell Antoine, we don't really know. We thought we knew until I talked to you again. But tell us a little bit about the transition and how you were treated and the things that were expected of you in Tutwiler.
Well, the transition, it's never going to be nice because you're so used to doing everything that you need to do on your own. But once you have to make yourself understand, you have to get up at a certain time, you have to go to bed at a certain time. You got to be able to do everything by a certain time, which is not your own. Once you get there, you have to really just get your mind wrapped around the fact that you can't leave when you want to leave. You can't go where you want to go. You know, you have to get used to doing the things that they want you to do. I mean, life has rules and regulations of everything that you have to do in your life, but you know, when you get behind those walls, this is a whole different story. Some people, it might be an easy transition for. I mean, I don't know. I can't say that, but for me, it was hard because, like I said, I've never been locked up before. I had a 5-year-old that was out here, had just turned 5. You know, so, I mean, what was I to do? I mean, the only thing that I can do was just figure out the ropes and learn how to keep my head down and not get in any trouble. You know, that was my main focus that I had came into realization with, was I had to do what was best for me. And the best thing for me was to keep myself busy. Because we all know that once you get somewhere, it's easy to get in trouble with other people if you hang around with the wrong crowds. I mean, that's inside the prison walls and outside the prison walls. So my main thing was I was trying to further my education. I was trying to do whatever I feel like was going to make my time go by without causing any type of ripples, you know.
When you say you had to do things yourself, did that involve work?
Oh yeah, I worked at the factory.
Were you paid for it?
If that's what you want to call it.
How much were you paid?
When you first go in at the factory, they pay you 15 cents. And then
15 cents at what rate? Like an hour?
No.
A day?
A day.
15 cents a day. That's
15
interesting.
cents a day.
And you said earlier that that the father of your child and your mother was taking care of your 5-year-old without any kind of outside assistance. And even though you were working full time as a worker, presumably you did not make enough to actually be able to assist with any outside expenses. Is that right?
Oh no.
15 cents a day. And what were you doing? You said you were working in the factory. What were you doing in that factory?
At the sewing factory, we make all the prison uniforms. I mean, all of them.
Okay, wait a second though. Are the prison uniforms, are they given to the inmates? Do you have to pay for them? Or are they for the guards?
No, they're for the inmates. We make prison uniforms that is made and shipped to not just Tutwiler. This is the prison system itself. We made all the white uniforms. All the white uniforms that are made at that factory. We made the white uniforms, and then we also made the coats that they wear. We made the underwear that the men wear. We made the sheets. We made the pillowcases. We made the we even had special times where like jumpsuits for the county jails. We made stuff the county jails jumpsuits that they had at certain prisons in the men prisons. If you go in with a sex offense or get caught with a sex offense while there, they have to wear pink jumpsuits. We had to make those, and we just like we stencil them. It's either going to be Alabama Department of Corrections, or either it's going to say whatever county that they're going to. So it's like a regular business. It's not like you got special orders. If you put in for an order, you say how many, and we have to make them. But we made everything
for 15 cents a day.
You go in at 15 cents a day, and then after so many, I can't remember if it was 60 or 90 days, then it go up to a quarter.
A day. Antoine. When she told, listen, Antoine and I, we so smart. We thought we knew it. Listen,
that's not surprising to me.
We did research on different prisons, and the numbers we said were horrible. This is worse. First of all.
Actually, I have one other question before you go on, Marshall. I wanted to ask, did the prison provide your amenities to your satisfaction? Did you have access to a commissary? Did they give you sufficient nutritious food? Did they? I'm sorry. No. Did they?
That's a loaded question.
Not necessarily. I'm just curious.
Okay, I'm gonna break it down.
Please do.
Yes, we have commissaries.
Okay.
Every prison has commissary. Back then, like I said, I was locked up in the end of the 90s going into the 2000s.
Okay.
So at that time, we had commissary. It wasn't through a company. From my understanding, they switched over in a company to do the commissary now.
Right.
But at that time, it was in-house.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they offer commissary, but this is gonna go all kind of ways with this. We're gonna start with the food.
Yes, please.
The food that they serve you, no, it is not nutritional. It is not you lucky if you make it out of there. Because just being there, the time that I was there, I know for a fact that the boxes of the meat patties that come in tell you it's not fit for human consumption. It is clearly wrote on the box, not fit for human consumption. But every piece of meat that comes through there, that's what the boxes tell you.
Can you give me an example of a meal, breakfast, lunch, or a dinner, please?
I mean, each day it varies, but it can go anywhere from like you're gonna have grits, you're gonna have the eggs. You're not gonna have no bacon, no sausage, or nothing like that.
No fresh fruit.
Okay. No. No.
That's it.
No. You're not even gonna get there. I don't know if they were powdered eggs or liquid eggs or whatever. I don't know, but they're not fresh. Nothing is fresh. We do get vegetables that they say, I don't know. They say they come from the men prison, from them in their gardens, the vegetables or whatever, but.
You mean the plantations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But half of the time, that stuff don't be clean, you know what I'm saying? Still have rocks and dirt and stuff still in it. As far as like, and then like you might have pancakes some days. You might then like dinner. You might have tuna fish. You might have. I know on Sundays you only eat twice on Sundays. That's breakfast and that's dinner. Every other Sunday you're gonna have chicken. 1 week is gonna be fried. The next 2 weeks is gonna be baked. In between that, you're gonna have these different kind of patties. All these they got a name for every kind of patty. You got pepper steak patty. You got the chuck wagon patty. You got hamburger steak. You got all different kind of patties. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, they did try to give you sausage patties, but like I said, once again, anything that's a meat or a patty, it tells you on the box is not fit for human consumption. And this is what I've seen with my own eyes. So it's not like nothing that nobody told me. No, this is not a fairy tale story. It's not a made up story. It's not none of that. See, a lot of people fail to realize that if you're not in the prison system or you don't have a loved one that went through there and you don't ask questions, you don't know. A lot of people feel like when you go to prison, oh, they living better than we live and they get 3 hot meals a day. Really? It's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. Actually, you really live on what is it, ramen noodles? You live on ramen noodles because if you don't, you don't know what you're gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, it's people, and it was times even I had to make myself go eat at the cafeteria, and you have to pick over it to make yourself have something to eat, so you won't be hungry because you don't have the money and the means to go to the commissary. But once I was able to get myself together, I learned you have to learn how to budget yourself, and you have to learn how to hold stuff back, because if you don't, you just never know. And I mean, it leads to a lot of different stuff. I mean, you know, a lot of people is not looking at that. See, I since I've been out, I look back at a lot of that stuff, because the whole time that I'm there, I'm not putting the links together. You know, I read the boxes that say not fit for human consumption, which made me not want to eat the meat. But at the same time, some people don't have a choice in the matter, so because they gotta eat. But then I made the link also because it's also a lot of women that's there or after they leave are diagnosed with fibroid tumors. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff that just didn't add up to me. It's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't want to look at it. A lot of people just, they in prison. They did what they had to do. They locked up. They got a criminal off the street. They want you to look at that because they want you to get in there, and they want you to be, how they say, out of sight, out of mind, because they don't have to worry about you. But it should not be like that, because there's a lot of people that's in these prison systems. I'm talking about men and women, that once they go in there, if your loved ones or your family member or somebody don't check on you, you can get lost in that prison system. They will shuffle you around. You would not even know where you're at. You know what I'm saying? I know stories of people that went in, more common men than women. Men, they get shuffled around. You know what I'm saying? And they loved ones are trying to find out what prison system they're at. They tell you that they are one place and they're not. You know what I'm saying? But your AIS number is supposed to tell you what it is. It's people that has been hidden in the prison system, that's in prison, that ain't even nowhere showing that they're in prison. Well, but they're in prison.
Well, let me ask you this while you're talking about that. You said people are shuffled around. You did all your time at Tutwiler?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
What happened?
That's a whole other story.
Let's talk about that.
We want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh.
Let's talk about that. Since you mentioned about people being shuffled around
yeah.
and lost in the system. These are kidnapped. Let me clear my throat. Let me be very clear. These are kidnappings. A person goes into our injustice system to the prison industrial complex. They are given over as wards of the state of Alabama. You are a ward of the state of Alabama, correct?
That's right. State of Alabama.
The state of Alabama. To serve your time for a crime against the state of Alabama.
That's right.
Okay. Now, you were sent to Tutwiler State Penitentiary?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened, how long were you at Tutwiler?
I was at Tutwiler from 97 to 2003.
And what happened after that?
Wait, no, that's not true. Let me go back. I was at Tutwiler from 97 to, yes it was 2003. It was 2003. Yes it was 2003. Because I came home in 2008, so yeah. It was 2003. In 2003, what they did is because there was so much ruckus that was going on about the prison being overpopulated and blase this and blase that they was trying to clear the prison. But what they're not telling you, what the state of Alabama is not telling you is that, yeah, they cleared the prison, especially Tutwiler, they cleared it out because most of us that was there, that they consider long-timers, they shipped us to Louisiana. I did a year and a half in Louisiana. When I say Louisiana, I'm not talking about New Orleans. I'm talking about past New Orleans. We went from Tutwiler. They locked down the prison at 10 o'clock at night. You couldn't call nobody. You couldn't do nothing. Told us to pack up our stuff. Gave us brown paper bags, and they handcuffed, shackled, and belly chained, and you got on the bus. Excuse me. They sent us. We got on the bus at 10 something at night, and about 6:30 that morning we was in Louisiana, and we was in. If you want, and you can all y'all people that think that I'm lying, you can look it up. I was in Slidell, Louisiana. I was actually past Slidell. I was actually in I'm in the name of the correctional instance. Cause see, they have changed it. I'm gonna tell you how Alabama changes stuff on you, because Alabama it's not a record that's gonna show you that we was shipped there. But I was there, and I know, and I did a year and a half there. So I'm telling you, it happened. I'm gonna tell you that Bacille. I was in Bacille, Louisiana. If I'm, Louisiana folks say they stuff different, but Bacille, Basile, Louisiana, at a correctional facility. That was all men facility. They cleared out half of the men's prison and shipped them to one side and cleared. We was there. I was there. I went on the first bus going down, and I was there for a year and a half.
Excuse me, while you were there, did you work?
No, you didn't do anything. You didn't do nothing. Period. You was in the dormitories. You didn't do anything. You received commissary if you wanted commissary. You go to breakfast, lunch, dinner. Other than that, you was in your cells.
Did anybody know you were there? Were you able to contact your family at all?
Oh, my family knew after they finally let us contact them, yeah. But that was like at least 24 to 48 hours after our arrival there.
So, over 8 hours away, Antoine, they get moved. And the dead of night, they get kidnapped. Transported across state lines.
No, so they were kidnapped before they got
Right, okay.
Yeah.
They went across state line. Again, we're going to assume that things are right. And she's a ward of the state of Alabama.
Right.
How do you take someone away from their family, or more away from their family than they already are? Did your mother come see you in Bacille?
Oh, no.
Did your brother come?
Oh, no.
Did your baby come?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. They came to see you at Tutwiler, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. You understand what I'm saying? These are the traumas that not only Pam had to go through, her baby had to go through. A year and a half. It was bad enough to see her mother locked up. But now, she don't know where her mother is. She might get a phone call. She might not. What's to stop them from moving her from Louisiana to California, or to Texas, or anywhere else? Or she just disappeared and fell, like so many mysterious deaths happen in prison. Now you making the faces out. I'm making. You can't.
No,
you can't. No, I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's sometimes we do research and we think we know, but when you hear firsthand accounts and you can ask the proper questions and find out the real answers, it's crazy. So you get moved to Louisiana for a year and a half, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Then you came back to Alabama.
Yes. Then they brought me back to Birmingham. I went to Birmingham. They sent me to Birmingham work release from there.
So Antoine said that he got out of you that you guys did absolutely nothing.
No.
And
Nothing.
what does that do to a psyche to spend your days doing nothing? Just being literally just locked in a dorm, right?
Yeah, it's a dorm, but you have like, you had the TVs, you had the microwaves, you get to move around freely until it was time for like to go to lunch or to breakfast or whatever, you have to line up to go to those places, or either if it was store day, you had to do that, or like, you know, little small stuff like that, but, or when it was time to lock down for them to count their normal count. But other than that, it was kind of like over there in Louisiana, it was more like a college dormitory actually, because I mean you had more freedom. And when I say that, I mean you have more freedom because Louisiana compared to Tutwiler, you was locked in your dormitories. Whereas at times you was locked in your dormitories unless you was going to work, you was going to school, you was doing something. But there it was more room to move around.
So basically what you're saying is that Tutwiler was a cage zoo and Louisiana was more like
a human. Now, I hated to be that far away, but to honestly say, I enjoyed my year and a half in Louisiana. And that's sad to say because you're locked up, but it's a difference when you go from one place knowing just being known by 6 digits, and when you get to somewhere else and they actually call you by your name, right. They actually, they treat you like you're a human. You know what I'm saying? They fed us better. Now they fed you nutritional. Yeah, they fed you good in Louisiana. But I mean, it's just the atmosphere was totally different. It's more mechanical at Tutwiler because you wake up, you got breakfast, you got either work, school, or whatever state job you have, and then at a certain time you go to lunch, go back to either work or whatever. Then you have dinner. Then you lock down. You got all these different counts that you got to be locked down for. Okay, then you got the end of the night lockdown that you got to be locked in your cells for. See, in Louisiana, it's more mechanical in Tutwiler.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's more like
regimented.
You're more like cattle in Tutwiler.
Right.
Right.
Sit up, sit down, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Louisiana, even though you still was locked up, but it wasn't, you got to do this by a certain time. No. You got up if you wanted to go to breakfast, or you didn't. You stay in your bed. You got up if you want. I mean, like I said, it was more freedom.
Earlier, you had said one of the first things you had to learn in prison was that you had to look out for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
What was your relationship to the other inmates, and to what degree were you encouraged to either befriend them as either personally or as political allies, since you were in the same position?
Well, I'm always inside and outside. I'm always funny about the people. I'm real particular about people that I deal with or that I let get close enough to me in my life. I've always been funny like that. So it's kind of hard, but when you first come in, I made a friend when I first came in because we came the same day. She was coming from Selma, Alabama, and I was coming from Dothan, but we was getting processed in together. So we kind of connected because it's both of our first times ever getting locked up. So we're both saying, we're scared, we don't know, what. So we kind of befriended each other then. But I'm more of a person I'm more spirit-led than anything else when it comes to dealing with people, because my first impression of you, if my first impression of you is messed up, it's going to always be messed up. I don't care how you try to befriend me. I don't care what you do. My first impression is always what it's going to be. It's to me. You might try to change that, but it's still going to always be because I'm just in tune with myself like that. I've always been like that. But we're still friends to this day. Me and this girl from Selma. Most of the people that when you're dealing with people, and it's a lot of women, it's always emotional because somebody is probably taking it harder than you are, and they probably sitting there crying their eyes out every day about to give themselves a stress heart attack, you know. Whereas you got those that's been there, that it's a playground to them, and then you got those that has aspirations like me that want to just come on, do what you got to do, keep yourself busy, pass the time away by educating yourself, you know what I'm saying, and move on. And that was my main focus that kept me going. But I did befriend a lot of people that are still friends, that I'm still friends with to this day. And actually, most of my people that I dealt with, that I befriended while I was locked up, are better friends to me than a whole lot of them that I met out here on these streets all my life. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way we treated each other while we was there. To us, we befriended each other and we became friends, and we kept it like that. So we became a family. If one ate, all ate. Whether you made commissary or not, we gonna make sure you gonna eat. That was the way that we did it. So it was a group of maybe about 10 of us, and we all looked out for each other. You know what I'm saying? We'll say, did you make commissary? And they'll say no. So then all of us will come together to make sure that the other person that didn't get is gonna have. And that's the way that we did it, you know.
Outside of that clique, outside of that friend circle, did you feel protected or safe in prison?
Oh no. I'm never gonna feel protected or safe, because it's just like on the street. You don't never know who might stab you in the back. You don't never know who got hidden agendas. So I'm gonna always be weary of everybody that's around me.
Including the prison guards?
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
Can you explain why? I mean, the prison guards are tax paid. They are tax paid to effectively be overseers of the state. But if the prisons are unsafe while they're there, are they doing their jobs?
No.
Okay.
No, they're no different than nobody else. They're no different than nobody else. I mean, we have some police officers that are out here that's supposed to protect and serve.
That's right.
But they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
That's right.
It's no different.
That's right.
It's no different. It really isn't. I mean, and that's not just because of me going to prison. That was even before I went to prison. I seen a lot of stuff dealing with police officers. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't change, because a person, if that's who they are, then that's just who they are. It's not gonna change them. So you have guards that that do sexual favors. You got guards that might bring in contraband for inmates. You're gonna have all of that, but it's no different than out here. It's really the same.
So I'm glad you said that, because this is what we're talking about. When people talk about prisons, they put all the onus on the inmates. It's the inmates getting high. It's the inmates being violent. It's the inmates selling drugs. It's the inmates raping and violent and killing each other. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that the guards are bringing in the drugs?
Of course.
Okay.
How else can they get them?
Okay. So
if you've been locked up 10 to 15 years, how you gonna get? If you've been locked up 10 to 15 years, how you gonna get drugs? How you gonna get a cell phone? How are you gonna end up? How is the inmate gonna end up pregnant?
That was my next question. I'm glad you said that. Now, again, these are first-hand accounts. How does a woman come in, serving time, whatever it is? Let's take you for instance, serving time, and you've been there 3 years, and you wasn't pregnant when you get there,
right?
And you get pregnant by a guard. So when that happens, what do they do? Fire the guard and do what with the baby?
I don't know how they handling it now, but back then you just was pregnant. I mean.
But the guard got fired, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
So the guards are there to protect you. They're there to ensure that you do what you're supposed to do, not to abuse you sexually or demand sexual favor or rape you.
Right.
So when they wind up pregnant, there's no repercussions for the guards?
They might get transferred to a different prison, but that's going to be it.
And do the same thing again.
And do the same thing again.
These are the things that we're talking about. Again, you're tuned in to Real Talk with Herschel, WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial. Now, the views expressed today on this show are those of myself, Miss Pamela Curry, and Antoine, who you can never see. But do not necessarily reflect the views of TOPS, WKCG, and or its management. So any thoughts, suggestions, or comments or complaints should be directed to realtalkwithherschel@gmail.com. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Come on, Antoine.
You know, I had asked you before whether you felt protected inside. Now that you're free, in what way?
She ain't free, she's just out.
Yeah, now that you're quote unquote free, do you feel protected now? Do you feel like you have any kind of redress now? Do you feel like there are any politicians or figures that speak to your concerns or to the concerns of people like you and your peers?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And the reason that I say that is because, I mean, on the political side, I'm going to go the political way first with that answer. On the political side, I feel like there is a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed when it comes to the prison system. It's a lot of things that need to be addressed for those that's formerly incarcerated coming out the prison system that nobody wants to look at.
Like what?
I mean, when you got to take into consideration if a person's been locked up 5 or more years, they're going to be institutionalized in some shape, form, or fashion. They need some type of mental counseling. You're going to need some type of mental counseling. I don't care if they say they don't. It's the inmate. The person is going to always feel like that because they're ready to go home. But they need some type of mental counseling because me, when I came home, I didn't have none of that, and it was a hard transition for me. It was a real hard transition for me because once I came out, I had even more trust issues as far as dealing with people because I'm already on the thin line, and I know if I do any little thing, they're going to ship me back to prison. So I'm always on pins and needles because I know that anything can send me back up that road. I'm not trying to do that. But at the same time, like Lower Alabama, and when I say Lower Alabama, anything from Montgomery down doesn't get the help like Montgomery up do in Alabama. And we're all in the state of Alabama, and I ain't never understood that. For the life of me, I still don't understand that. Because when I came home, I came here to Dothan, Alabama. I stayed here 6 months, and I had to leave because I couldn't get any help here. They would not help me in any time. I couldn't get no public housing. I couldn't get a job. And I did end up with a job, but between trying to work and trying to live, I felt the pressure. And I felt like I was going to end up doing what I did to get in prison from the beginning. So I knew it was time for me to go. But that's because I was strong enough to see the signs and know that it was time for me to go and make a change in my life. Well, others might not see it, and they might just drown themselves in it and get caught back up in recidivism. And I wasn't going to be one of those. I made it up in my mind that once I came home, I was not going back up there. So I left here and went back to Birmingham to start where I know I should get a decent job and a decent living, make a decent living, and programs. They have so many programs that help people that's coming out of prison. They don't give you these little fast food restaurant jobs and stuff. No, you can go up there. You can go up there to Birmingham. You can go through a temp service and get hired at Mercedes. You can get hired at like big hotels like Sheraton and stuff. I mean, you can get places and that's through a temp. At that time, through a temp service, they still weren't paying nothing less than $10. And here in Dothan, you lucky if you make $10. If you're gonna be there for a minute, if you get the $10, still, I'm talking about today.
Yeah.
Now I've been homeless since 2008.
Right.
So I'm just saying, here it is over 10 years, and it still has not changed. Nothing still has changed. The minimum wage is still $7.25.
Right.
Everybody here is still barely making it. But if you go to other Alabama, they offer you programs. They even like in my case, I didn't have any health insurance. I couldn't get Medicaid. After I had my second child, they told me I couldn't have Medicaid. They took me off Medicaid, but they let my baby have Medicaid, but they took me off Medicaid because I got my tubes tied. They said it's a form of sterilization. The state of Alabama. Look it up. I'm telling you what they told me. I went years without health coverage because of the simple fact that because I got my tube size and chose not to be one of these women walking around here spitting out babies every year or every 9 months, that they chose to penalize me by taking my health insurance. So therefore, that's putting me in more debt because if I get sick, I gotta owe the hospital because I have no choice but to go there because I can't afford a private physician and I don't have the insurance for a private physician. See, it's a whole lot. A lot of people not understanding. It's not only that, but when I came back to Dothan after leaving Birmingham and I moved back to Dothan, do you not know that they still told me that I had to be 40 before I can even get a pap smear or a breast exam? I had to be 40, and that was the only way that the health department here in Houston County would let me get a pap smear or a breast exam was I had to be 40, and that was the only way that I could get it for free. Other than that, I had to pay for it out of pocket. The health department, right down there on Conwood Road.
See how you speechless? It's.
You know,
go ahead. Well, one more thing.
Yeah.
Pam is leaving out a very important part of her journey. Pam didn't do it alone. She had a good support system. You told me about your brother.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
again, this is why we have to take care of each other. See, everybody doesn't have that. Pam told me her brother helped her, and he kept his foot in her behind to make sure that she was doing what was right for her.
Right.
He didn't shut her out. He didn't blame her. He helped her.
Right.
And this is what we have to do. This is why I want you to tell, to make sure that people understand that.
Yeah, you're going to have to have a support system.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's coming out while they're there, now it's a difference. Let me let y'all understand. It's a difference between supporting your loved ones and them using you. It's a difference. And I'm gonna step on some toes because I know a lot of people out here that have loved ones that's locked up. I don't care if they call you 50 million times. If you know that you don't have the income to send them, they're locked up. True enough. But at the end of the day, you have to make some rules. Like accept their phone calls once a week or twice a week. Or I don't know how your income is, but you need to set some rules. I'm going to send you money every 2 weeks or once a month. But I have seen so many since I've been home. They have loved ones that's locked up that they constantly calling them, hounding them. I need you to bring me some money. I need you to send me some money. I need you to put some money on the phone. I need you to do this. I need you. No. That's abusing and using your family and your family members because they don't have to take a phone call from you. They don't have to send you money. They don't have to do any of that. Just like I was locked up, but my mom, just so happened by the grace of God, my mom, and I knew my mom was working on limited income. So I didn't call home but once every 2 weeks. I got my butt, even though like I said it wasn't much, but I got over there in that factory, that little bit helped. My mama can send me money but once a month. So I had to make whatever she sent me stretch. So to make it stretch even more, I got my butt up and went to the factory. It's a lot of stuff we don't want to do, but we have to do. But it is not your family's fault because once you get locked up, your family is suffering just like you're suffering. They still out here trying to make, you might have left behind 3-4 kids. They got to help take care of them children. They got to still pay that phone bill that you calling. They got to still try to make sure that you got enough money to get the necessities that you need, not that you want. So don't go up there in that prison and get the gambling and think your mama and them finna send you no $100. Because me personally, I wouldn't dare ask for my folks to send me nothing over $50, and that $50 is gonna last me a whole month. You feel what I'm saying?
But therein lies the problem, Pam. You're taking on the onus of the state.
Exactly.
Right.
You're taking because here's something. Let me finish.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Pam is a victim of the state. Pam's family is a victim of the state. you're taking on responsibilities that the state had. It's not your family that says you can only have 30 pads a month.
Right.
It's not the state that says you can only have 25 cents a day. It's the state, it's not your family. And we are taking on responsibility and victimizing one another. Well, I understand what you're saying. You're dealing with what it is.
Right.
It should be that way. Why can't you go home every day? You should have a car
And that's right.
that the state provides. Or they should have open lines where you can call home. Because they took you away.
That's right.
Now, we do this to ourselves, and I'm just making this point because you made a point that so many people are going through. We victimize ourselves.
Right.
We take on responsibility that's not our own. It's not your damn responsibility to have enough money to make a call. The state locked you up. The state took you away and said you can't be with your family. They have an onus that you can contact your family.
That's right.
They make sure you can have visitation. They should make sure that you can have calls. They should make sure that you have money to buy things. One more thing, I'm going to get this from Pam. I mentioned personal items.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the story you told me, Pam. It's not a story. Tell me the rules about contraband when it comes to female products. Tell me the rules.
You are issued 2 bars of soap. You are issued 30 sanitary pads and 6 rolls of tissue. If you are to go over, if you as a woman were to need more than that, and you are caught with more than the amount that they gave you at a certain time of the month, they're going to write you up for a citation. The limited amount of soap that you can have is 6 bars of soap in your possession. The limited amount of rolls of tissues is 6, and the amount of sanitary napkins is 30. We're talking about women. Tissue, I can go through 6 rolls of tissue in no time. I'm just being honest. I mean, a woman, we have to wipe more than a man do. So, and if it's that time of the month, then you definitely are going to use more. So, of course, 6 rolls of tissue is not going to last you a month. But if you are caught with more than 6 rolls of tissue, they're going to write you a citation, which you cannot fight. You cannot fight a citation. Citation is going to do, what the citation is going to do is going to stop you from having visitation. It's going to stop you from being able to use the phone. And it's going to stop you from being able to do anything. And you're going to have cleanup duty, where at night after they shut down, you have to clean up. You have to sweep, you have to mop, you have to do that. And they can give you from 30 to 45 days on this citation. You don't have to go, it's not like a disciplinary hearing where you get to say your side and they say their side. No, it's a citation. You cannot fight it. And it goes on your record. And it stays on your record for 6 months. Something that you cannot fight.
And the flip side of that same coin. Now, as a woman, if you don't have your necessary items, like say your sanitary napkin, and you have an accident and you mess your clothes up, do they help you out?
No.
Wow.
No. It's up to you to go and clean yourself up, and you're gonna have to wash your stuff by hand. They're not gonna give you no new uniforms. They're not gonna do none of that. You're gonna have to go in there and you're gonna have to scrub yourself. You're gonna have to go and try to find a bucket and get you some water and try to scrub it yourself.
Did you say they give you citations for doing that too?
Yeah, if you get caught.
So here's the problem. I'm a woman. I have whatever, I have your clothes, or I just need the liners because I got whatever going on, and I got to change that pad more than once a day because you use this panty liner, and I run out. I mess my clothes up. I get a citation for that, but you tell me I can't have more than 30. What?
It's a back and forth. It's a lose-lose situation.
But you know, I think the lose-lose situation also applies to how contact with inmates happens with family too. Because even in the best case scenario that you mentioned, you were only getting $50 a month from your family. You could only get that. So you know, the state, because it's placed the onus on you and your family to subsidize its own slavery, effectively, because they place that onus on you, you're now in a position where you have extra burdens, extra responsibilities, but with even more limited choices than a normal person has. Because as you said it yourself, even when you're out, you're not making anything. You're not making more than $10 an hour. You're actually you're actually lucky if you're in Dothan making $10 an hour. So what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is that the state is putting interlocking lose-lose situations, particularly on black people. If you're poor and can't get anything, you might be put in a position where you have to steal to eat.
Right.
If you steal and get caught, you're going to be given 55 years. And then you're going to be in a situation where you're making even less money, working 15 cents to 25 cents. It's just an incredible situation. But, I say all that to ask this. When you say politicians are not talking about your issues, do you feel like their discussions of the poor includes the formerly incarcerated who are poor?
No.
Okay. What is the distinction between the formerly incarcerated who are poor and not incarcerated people who are poor?
To be honest, I think is, well, that's a double-edged sword, to be honest, because a lot of the people that's here, that's poor, and that's homeless, that's here, if you look at it and you compare it to there in Tutwiler, you have to look at it on different scales,
Right.
because their defense that they gonna use is they feed you. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And they give you somewhere to stay. They give you somewhere to lay your head. So that's their defense. If you ever paid attention when you talk to a politician, anything about prison, the first thing that they always say is, I don't see a problem, I don't see an issue. It's because they got somewhere to lay their head, they get 3 hot meals. That's the first thing every last one of them always say. But they don't look at the fact of it's not healthy. It's hurting you more than it's helping you. I got somewhere, I got a cot, as they say, they give you 3 hots in a cot.
That's right.
So,
But your cot is in the closet.
Right.
yeah, but I mean, they're not also telling the people that don't know that the reason that the prison is so populated and the way that the reason that it's doing that is because they get funded. Those beds have to stay full. If they beds don't stay full, they don't get funding. So that's why the politicians push more so Kay Ivey about new prisons getting built. Because of the simple fact, the more prisons that they have, the more beds that they can fill. So therefore, more people that they can jeopardize out here. He might be the simple man that we know, been knowing all our lives. We know he gonna get drunk and we know he gonna walk up and down the road. That's what he do. He's homeless, but that's what he's gonna do. But see, if they build more prisons, he's gonna be one of the ones that they gonna put in there.
So,
because they gotta fill that bed.
So just to kind of follow up on Antoine's question. So when you got out and you couldn't get housing, you couldn't go to your local councilman or your congressman and say that this needs to be addressed for. So you feel as though you would have been able to get it if you didn't have the criminal record, you'd have been able to get help.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
And that's what it's designed for that. See, a lot of people don't realize that once you got that criminal record, once you have that criminal record tattooed on you, it disqualifies you for certain jobs, good paying, decent jobs. It disqualifies you for housing. It disqualifies you if you need public assistance. Because if you got drug charges, you can't get food stamps. They just changed that law. But it used to be where you couldn't get no kind of food stamps or public assistance, welfare or anything if you had a drug charge. But I'm just saying, Alabama is still in the dark ages about a lot of stuff that's going on as far as this stuff that's, with the prison system and stuff. But they know what they're doing at the same time. Because they have not went and tried to change not one law when it comes down to sentencing. While I was locked up, every guard can tell you when you coming from Houston County. Because you coming in with 25 or more years. Every guard, every prison, men or women prison can tell you when Houston County is dropping off. Because everything that's in that bus is going to have 25 years or more. Nothing is coming in with less than that. That's just a given. That's just a given. So if you're going in with 20 or more, we're going to just say 20 or more years, you're going to be there at least 8. 8 of your years is gone. Off the bat. Off the bat. At least. I'm just saying, at the least minimum, 8 years.
All right, yeah. What we going to do? We've been running along. I got it back up a little bit. We got some music going. So what I want to do is take a little break right here. Give everybody a chance to gather themselves. And again, you're listening to Real Talk with Herschel. WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial. Yeah, I got it back up. Yes. Oh, it's not playing.
Hold the speaker down if you want.
Oh, this computer too. It's not running. No, it's not running. I got it playing.
There you go.
No.
Well, you can use the mic to just hold it against the microphone.
No, there it goes. That should be it. I was trying to give it up so we get a breather in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's probably the best case for it. You can play whatever music you got on there, but after that we'll have to take it out. So.
If you only lost your vacation home on Airbnb, you might attract someone looking for a quaint little studio.
All right, well, we're going to kill that.
But if you're listed
Welcome
on
back to
Airbnb,
Real Talk with
you might
Herschel.
attract-
WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial, Dothan, Alabama. Now, the thoughts expressed today on this show are those of myself, my guest, and my Antoine. Now, if you
Hey, you're Antoine.
whatever.
That's Antoine.
Yeah, Antoine. Well, any thoughts expressed today on this show are our thoughts. Do not necessarily reflect the views of TOPS, WKCG, and or its management. So please direct any thoughts, comments, suggestions, or complaints to Real Talk with Herschel at gmail.com. Like we said, we had some technical difficulty, but we're going to keep on rolling. Antoine, you had a question before we...
I do. I'm curious about what kind of assistance would you like to see or would you have liked to have seen from either political parties or from political organizations that claim to have some affection for the cause of formerly incarcerated peoples now. What would you like to see from them?
I think I would like to see an organization that really comes along and deals with the mental.
Okay.
I'm a stress on the mental.
Okay.
Because the mental plays a huge part. It really does. The mental part plays a huge part because you have to deal with coming out and the hardships that's going to come with it. Because like I said, once you come out, it's going to be hard to find that job. And like I said, depending on what your crime was, it's only certain jobs you can have. It's only certain jobs you can apply for. Same with housing. I mean, depending on whatever your crime is, it can stop you from a lot of different things.
I'm gonna pan out a little bit, and I'm just gonna note one of the themes of the show. We frequently say that one of the necessities for Black people and Black power is Black institutions. Now, we both have Black institutions, and we need more Black institutions. But one of the priorities of Black institutions is that it will create networks for people who are incarcerated or formerly incarcerated? You know, I'll just give an example. We constantly talk about churches. Do you feel like churches have been there for formerly incarcerated people?
Churches?
Yeah.
On the whole.
On the whole, yeah. Your honest opinion.
No.
Okay.
No, because see,
Speak on it.
because church people
Yep.
has a problem with
She gonna wind me up.
felons. They have a problem with
The forgiveness,
convicted.
Christianity?
Nah, nah.
Oh, really?
See, church people is just church people. Church people, they dress up for church. That's all they do, is just dress up for church. They don't talk about nothing but whatever going on in the church. But if you're outside and you step into there and you think that you're going to be accepted, and you trying to come home and you trying to get your life together, and you're going to be accepted, and you tell them folks that you've been locked up for a certain amount of time, they're going to automatically block you.
No, they won't do that.
Yes, they
not
will.
these things. Not no.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Paul was a
Yes,
murderer.
they will.
Huh?
Yes, they will.
Oh no, don't tell me
Church
that.
people.
No.
Church people.
No.
Church people. That's just like I was raised in church, so I know. I already know. If you're supposed to, church people, when you're a church, you're supposed to have funding that's supposed to be able to help somebody. You're supposed to help them. You're supposed to be able to help somebody either find somewhere to stay, help them with a bill, help them with food. You're supposed to be able to, even if they needed counseling, you're supposed to be able, if you're the preacher, the reverend, the minister, the evangelist, or whatever you call yourself, that you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be able to counsel with that person, with whatever they got going on. You're supposed to be able to give a helping hand with whatever comes on, whatever they got going on. And if it is more than what you and your church can do, then you are supposed to network it with other churches to help this member. But that's not the way church is now. Church is a business. Church is nothing but a business, and it's nothing but people gonna go in there and everybody says that, okay, you're supposed to give your 10% tithing. That's all they want now. That's all they want. The only thing that they want now is that 10% tithe. I mean, even some of these churches go so far is to want you to fill out a fill out a tax form. What? They got ATMs in their church. What?
Come on, boy, it sounds like she been reading my. Listen, the reason. No, Pam, no, because Christians are supposed to clothe the naked, feed my sheep, and restore man.
Okay.
So.
Wait a minute. Oh. You said that's what Christians are supposed. Oh,
that's
the
what they tell me.
primary word is supposed to do.
Okay.
Supposed to do. It's the difference between what we supposed to live a Christian life every day, but we lost our way somewhere and we went down the wrong path. But that don't mean that you're not forgiven and you're not able to start yourself over, and the same thing goes from those. You're not supposed to judge. Regardless of what a person's past is, you're not supposed to judge. Because can't nobody sit here and tell me, I can call 4 preachers right now that I know for a fact that was out there doing everything in these streets they was big enough to do. But they preaching that. So if they can change, why not your flock?
Come on,
your flock gonna come in as a Christian. I don't know now church that the flock come in as a Christian. As I recall, everything that was in the Bible was a sinner. Everything that come into a church is a sinner, looking for help from those that's been redeemed. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to build up that person's faith, and you're supposed to be able to accommodate them and help them in what shape, form, or fashion that it needs to be did. Even if it means that you got to take them into your own bosom and help them. But how many times have you seen it done? I can't count them. Not even one.
You know, that's a lot to process, and I have a question, and I'm going to address it to both of you, so it's not just put only you on the spot. But if we're in a circumstance where churches qualify as black institutions, and black institutions have obligations they're not living up to, does this mean that we should stop relying on churches for that?
I mean, honestly, I've never understood why you're relying on a church anyway. Because, I mean, a lot of people put too much into a church. A church is just a building. It's not the people that's in it. It's just the building. It's just, a church can be anywhere. I ain't never read nowhere in the Bible what Jesus was in no building. He was walking to and from highways and byways, helping those in need, is what he said.
Come on, preacher.
That's what he said he was doing, and that's what he did. I ain't never seen him in 4 walls. I ain't never seen no 4 walls hold him, because he was bigger than that. Can't no 4 walls, should no 4 walls be able to help those? You know, see, that's the problem with the world. Now, I don't feel that it needs to be a church issue. No, it's not a church issue. But the reason that they want to make it a church issue, now see, a lot of people gonna be mad with me. A lot of them already mad with me, but I love it. I love the stuff I'm told, so it don't bother me. But a lot of them want to sit here and they want to give it a church issue because it's numbers. It's numbers. See, it's a numbers game. When you dealing with a church and when you dealing with politics, it's a numbers. It's all about numbers. That's just like I can go open a church right now and say that I got a church and I got 50 members in my church. Every member that's in there might be people that I don't pick up off the street. But I got 50 members in my church. I got paperwork to prove that I have 50 members in my church. You feel what I'm saying? You follow me? Over a month's period of time, that's going to double or triple, right? But because when I first told you that I had 50 members, they know that it's going to get word out and it's going to spread. But can you process? Can you process the other double or triple the people that you say have come? It's a difference. But see, nobody wants to check. Nobody wants to check because it's a numbers game. Just because I came and visited your church today, and I go visit another church 2 weeks from now, each one of them churches is counting me because I was in attendance. You see what I'm saying?
Count your money.
So therefore, with them 2 churches being able to count me as being in attendance at their church, that's going to help them calculate their numbers where they can get so many numbers so they can get funding because they're a nonprofit organization. See, they don't want to talk about that. Don't nobody want to talk about that. I don't care how they feel about it. But if you are a nonprofit organization and you're supposed to be helping, but you are getting funding behind these numbers of people that you're supposed to be helping and that are in your flock, then it needs to be some reward seen.
Well,
and I've yet to see that. I have yet to see a member that say, okay, I ain't gonna throw no name out there. I go to such and such church and they help me get in the house. Or I'm a member of such and such church. They help me get a refrigerator, or they help me get a living room suite, or they help me get a car. Where is the rewards? If I am a member and we are supposed to be helping and building each other up, then after so many years, everything that's a member in that flock should be done reap some type of reward because we help one another. Am I not right? Okay.
Now,
I just want to know.
Now, you asked me the same question. You know how I feel. Now, there's nothing that is all good and nothing that is all bad. There are some churches. There are some.
I don't agree with
they
that.
don't. Wait. You asking me?
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
telling you.
That's true.
Now, I know of a handful here and there that are doing those very things. They don't get the light of day. They don't have ATM machines because they're too busy out here in the communities, helping the community. Those churches that are doing those things are not looking for the cameras, Antoine. Those ones that are doing that are not looking and taking pictures with the mayor, Antoine. They're not doing that. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're too busy helping the people. They're too busy helping people with COVID and getting people food, shelter, and everything else. They don't have time for the cameras. Those are the ones that are doing it. They're not going to get, because they're not looking for it. Now, should the onus be on them? Never. Never. Morality, or so-called morality, and what is just are two different things. Our our religious leaders is too much of a dictatorship. Our churches are like dictatorships. So they have control over the purse strings, and the congregation doesn't. So if you have an organization, you should be able to, just like now, you go to these nonprofits, you have to submit an application to get a check for your lights or whatever. You submit an application, there's a committee that looks it over, and they vote on it. Who is getting it, who won't. They vote. It's not arbitrary. This is why your organization that is set up properly, or if a church is set up properly and they have a committee that's over this, the preacher doesn't touch it, the committee does. This is why your sick and shut-in committee, or this, that, and the other, they're supposed to work independent, you know, with oversight of the congregation. This is why they make reports back. Now, if it's not working like that, then I have a problem with it. People go to church because they're in need. People come out of jail, out of prison, they're in need. They're looking for help. So of course they turn to where they think they're going to get help, because we don't have the institutions in place. We don't have the schools in place. This is why black nationalism and black power is the call of the day. Now, if there's a church, and we say church, it's not a religion, a church, whether it be a mosque or synagogue, temple, anything. If that church, place of worship, is working for that community, we can work with that. If they are accountable to that community, I can work with that. But when you have a worship place in a community, and the community has homeless people that can't eat, come on, Antoine.
I don't know
I
how
have a problem with it.
bad neighborhoods.
How do you have a church in a bad neighborhood? Because the church is supposed to uplift the neighborhood, and the neighborhood is supposed to uplift the church. It's supposed to work hand in hand.
Great church around the project.
If all they're doing is opening up on Sundays and Wednesday, Tuesday they had a Bible study, this, that, and the other, and the community suffering, that church is stealing. I said it. They're stealing from you. They're stealing from you. I'm not saying just like you said, you're not supposed to abuse it, but there is no reason that you can't go to your church. Why are we going to the Catholic charities and you go to church up on the hill at the First Baptist? Why are you going to Catholic charities to get help? Because they're putting money in the community. I'm telling you what I know, not what I think.
Some of it.
I'm just making that example.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If you have a true non-profit, they're helping. Like I said, Catholic charities, I mentioned because I've seen them do things. It's set up separate from the church, but it's under the heading of the church. So they raise monies and whatever they do and funnel some of it into these charities and help people in the neighborhoods. I mentioned our Urban League, our NAACP, they have a mechanism. They could do the same types of things. They could set up these types of things. And I'm just mentioning them because these are organizations that people know. Now, Martin Luther King thought enough of the NAACP and thought it was important enough to have his congregation join. I don't want to say he made it mandatory, but he strongly suggested that everyone join.
Yeah, when he was a Dexter, yeah.
So, again, it's forward thinking, Antoine. He didn't say keep the money in Dexter Street Church. He said join this organization that's going to help the advancement of our people. Now, they have a mechanism where they could set up these type of programs. I'm not saying that they don't or they haven't, because I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm just saying that type of organization that has name recognition and a history could do these types of things, where we didn't have to rely on the churches, where the churches could work hand in hand with them, where the church could contribute. If they didn't have, so if a church don't have a soup kitchen like the Panthers did, so if your church don't have a soup kitchen, give your money to the Panthers for their soup kitchen. If your church don't have a clothing closet, take a donation and give it to the Salvation Army. Or, again, I'm just making examples. But we need our own to do that. We need our own to do that. So if a small church may have a good congregation, they may have good time, they may be able to garner funds or to raise funds and don't have an outlet for it. This is why we need our own organizations that are in place Because when the Panthers did their thing, they were not solely funded. They were funded by the churches.
In part.
In part by the churches. You know, with the laws the way they are now, they would be able to get their 501c and get funding from the government.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if these churches, these places of worship are going to take money out of our community, they should be doing something to build our community. That's how I feel about it, Antoine. If it's not helping, then you don't need to be there. You don't need to give them your time and your money for pie in the sky when you get kicked in the butt. Tell your child that you're going to go to church and pray about it. You can pray at home. You can pray at home. You can have prayer meeting at home. You can study at home and feed your children. But if you go to that church and take your funding out of your home and your children going hungry, and the pastor tell you, all he's going to tell you is, we're going to pray for you, you're giving your money to the wrong place. Giving your money to the wrong place. Because if I'm paying dues to a group or an organization and I need help, I'm going to that very organization for help. And if they tell me all they can do for me is pray for me, then why am I giving my funding? People criticize what I'm for. I'm a Mason. Been a Mason for 30 years. I've been paying my dues and everything else. We help people in our own circle, and they've helped me in my time of need. I'm not talking about millions of dollars, Antoine. I'm not talking about millions of dollars. I'm talking about working the way that the tenets of religion are supposed to work, helping one another. And we have to learn that as black people. We have to go back to those tenets of helping one another. Pam is locked up. That's not my woman. That's not my blood. She's a criminal. No, she's coming back to live next door to me. She's coming back to live down the street from me. If I don't help her, she'll be breaking in my house. If I don't help her, she might kill herself next door to me. If I don't help her, her child may go hungry. So it's better for me to help her out. So once she gets on her feet, she can help somebody else. Or I might get locked up. I might lose my job and have to go to Pam. The same Pam that I turned my nose up to that she was locked up. Just because you haven't been where she's been, don't mean that you won't be there tomorrow. And we have to understand that. We live in a jacked up place.
Yeah.
This is a reality.
Yeah.
This is a reality. Don't turn your back. Don't criticize and don't judge people because they have been or are incarcerated. They are people just like us. Not just like us, they are us. Just because you don't have a loved one that has never been incarcerated, thank God that you haven't. But what we have to do is we have to be here for each other. We have to fix this. We didn't create the prison system. We didn't create the laws. We're just victims of it.
Right.
So as such, a victim most of the time has to fix themselves.
That's right.
It's not right, it's not fair, but that's the way it is. They're not going to fix it.
Right.
Don't look for this white supremacist government to fix anything that they've created. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
They're just gonna put you back out there on the streets and hope that you don't. That they really want you to go back to doing what you're gonna do so they can lock you back up for so many years.
Since you said that, wait a minute. Now, when you leave prison, did it give you any money?
Not unless you had something on your books.
Okay.
If you didn't have nothing already on your books, no, they're not gonna give you anything.
Do they give you any counseling?
Nope. The only free thing they might give you is if you tell them that you ain't got nobody to come pick you up, they're gonna give you a bus ticket back to wherever you was convicted from.
Okay. And do they give you any advice?
No.
They don't tell you nothing on your way out? What you tell me? What I gotta tell you on your way out? See you later.
Yeah, see you later. I said, no, you won't see me.
See you later, Antoine. See you later.
You won't see me.
See?
And I ain't been back either.
And I've heard that everybody that I know that's been incarcerated has said the same thing.
Yeah.
You'll be back.
Yeah. See you later.
Because the system is set up for you to come back.
Exactly. Because they don't give you the help. So if they're not giving you the help, it's only if you're not the type of person that knows how to adjust your thinking and try to go different ways and connect with different people to try to get the help that you need, if you come out and you just really don't understand the capacity of it, that's how come I say the mental is so demanding. Because like you said, a lot of people can come back out here and they can go right back to doing what they did. Or a lot of them can come out here and just decide, you know, I'm not going to do it no more. I can't take it no more. And just decide to just take their own lives. I mean, it's real. A lot of people don't understand that. It's so real that it will make you have those thoughts. Especially when you're coming back out. It will make you have those thoughts. If you coming out and you can't get a good job, you can't seem to get up on your feet, you can't seem to do that, the first thing you're thinking about is what you did, what you had to do to survive the first time they got you locked up. That's going to be your first thought. But if you're strong enough to fight it, then your second thought going to be, I just can't deal with it. I'm not going to deal with it no more. And they'll just take their own lives. But that's the thing, we don't need to let it get to that point of not being able to just taking yourself away. It's a gap that's lapsed in between them. So that's where a lot of people need to step in and help this person.
And you know, now that you say that, you know, I think that one of the facets of dehumanization is that when incarcerated people become formally incarcerated and are put back into their own communities, one of the things that can happen is that we in the community can actually contribute to their isolation and dehumanization by locking them out, by not assisting them, by holding them against the crimes that were made, and honestly by taking the state of this word. We know part of the problem is that we are assuming that state actions are legitimate.
Right.
We're assuming that it's right for somebody to go to prison for assault, even though or for robbery, even though the reason why they were robbed is because the state wasn't taking care of them.
Right.
So you know, I think one of the takeaways that we need to take from this is that we just need to understand that in a formerly incarcerated person's ability to reintegrate into society actually relies on society understanding and treating them as they should have been treated initially.
Right.
You're absolutely right. You know, you mentioned that you couldn't get a pap smear panel.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
because
well, before you get to that, I actually want to ask you, because you talked first about the meat in prison, about how it's not fit for human consumption. What kind of medical care were you given in prison?
None. But the reason that I say none is because when I first got there, I actually was on the top bunk. And I have an issue with height. And I get dizzy and I faint. And I was on the top bunk and I got dizzy and I fell from the top bunk and my foot hit the bottom bunk, the railing on the side of the bed, and my foot was swollen up and messed up. And the only thing they did is took me to the healthcare. They gave me 2 ibuprofens and a Band-Aid. That's it, that's all. Nothing else. Nothing else.
2 ibuprofens and a Band-Aid.
Nothing else. As far as healthcare is nothing. Healthcare, okay, like, I can be sick today. I gotta fill out a healthcare form, which is gonna be $3 that they take off your books. Whether you got it or not, when you get it, they gonna take it off. But each form that you fill out to go to the healthcare is $3. It's not free.
Let's put this in perspective, by the way. Let's put this in perspective. She only makes $15 a day. 15 cents, excuse me, 15 cents a day. At best, it can go up to a quarter. It would take her 3 weeks of work to actually be able to fill out a form, Herschel. 3 weeks of work to be able to fill out a form, and that's without the possibility of treatment.
Right. And I'm glad you kept in that vein, because here's where I'm going. We talked about the women getting pregnant in prison. Now, like you said, he just asked you about healthcare. Antoine just asked you about healthcare. Do you have any options when you get pregnant as a woman? Or do you have to have the baby?
Now, that part I'm not sure. Because most of them that come, oh, you talking about
If they
you're
get
there?
pregnant, right. If they get, so you've been there 2 years and you get pregnant by a guard.
Uh-huh.
Because y'all want to make each other pregnant.
You just don't have a baby. What they gonna do? They not gonna take you out nowhere. They don't even want to take you out for emergency anything for yourself.
So no prenatal care and no option. Again, it's not healthcare is not about.
You're suggesting abortion, correct?
No. I'm not suggesting abortion. I'm saying, is it even an option?
Right.
You're already incarcerated. So you have this baby, and then what? What happens to the baby?
Either you get in contact with your family and they come pick it up, or I don't know what they do with the baby.
Yeah, the other part of that though is, I think that one of the things people, and this actually said this the first time you came on the show a couple years back, but one thing people don't understand is that a prisoner in relation to a prison guard has absolutely no rights whatsoever.
None.
That's actually why they have no rights, is because the prison guard has absolute power over them. So, even in facially equal situations, there's still a coercive element because they are an armed agent of the state with full rights over yourself, over your body, and your time, and you don't have that. So what we're basically suggesting is that somebody with absolute control over you can actually force you into a pregnancy.
Oh yeah.
All pregnancy in prison is forced.
Yes, exactly.
Because again,
exactly.
Because here's the option. Hey, do you give me some, I'll write you up.
Right.
Give me some, I'll put you in the hole.
Right.
So it's all rape. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I asked.
Right.
So these are rape
Right.
babies. Now, with these rape babies, I'm going to ask you because nobody ever asked it other than Antoine about political things. We just had the other day one of the most horrendous laws passed against abortion in Texas. And they're looking, we know Texas won't be, we know Alabama won't be far behind with what they do. What are your thoughts on this whole thing with this abortion ban in Texas?
Catch me up to speed.
Okay, I don't mean to catch you off guard. I'm just saying they're essentially banning all pregnancy, all abortion, whether it be for rape, incest, or anything else.
Well, you know, Alabama did that.
Yeah.
We are. They're making it criminal now.
Alabama did that.
Yeah, a couple of years. Well, she's referring to the thing that happened a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. What's Montgomery?
Well, no.
Well,
that was the court case. But what's happening in Texas is that they are what they're doing is that they're trying to they've effectively deputized citizens and put anybody who takes somebody to an abortion clinic, works at an abortion clinic, acts as a receptionist at an abortion clinic, and they're letting them fine them for as little as $10,000 if they were involved in any kind of abortion after 6 weeks.
Once again.
Yes. This is almost no different.
Right.
This is basically the heartbeat bill all over again.
Right.
From Mississippi
exactly.
and Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm never gonna agree with it. I mean, a lot of people. I feel like we as a person, whatever you decide to do with your life, it shouldn't be nobody's business but yours. Whether I agree with it or not, it's still not my choice. And see, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong with politics. Politics go so far as to the fact that they feel like that they, how can I say this?
They have control of your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
They control your life, period. And that's not true. That's not true. See, that's the problem with these states. See, they keep forgetting we are people. It's already bad enough that through history that we had to take that y'all took us and y'all made us have babies with the masters. It's bad enough we had to raise y'all babies and become mammies and breastfeed y'all babies as well as our own while out in y'all fields. To becoming to, that was back then, here it is 2021, and y'all trying to take us back to that same stuff. See, that's the problem. Politics gotta realize politics have a place in politics. When it comes down to a person's choice, if God gives you the free choice and the free will, then nobody else should be able to take it. He don't even force you to do anything. He gives you free will. Either you gonna live for Christ or you're not. But it's free will. That is a word that people need to understand. It's free will. If your choices agree, if you agree with my choices or not, that's on you. But don't make me have to don't force me to do something if that's not what I want to do. And see, the problem with all of that I see with that, I'm gonna come back to, because Alabama is K. Ivy, I'm trying to figure out how y'all appoint a committee, all men, to decide about the rights of a person as far as an abortion or a child, period. I ain't seen on that whole committee not one woman. And every last one of them was over 60 years old. So what does that tell you? I'm telling y'all better pay attention. Pay attention to your politicians. Because I'm telling you what they're about to do. They are about to put y'all to the point where you ain't gonna have, you're gonna be walking around these streets in these different cities, and your butt's gonna be in a what they call them concentration camp. That's where you're finna be. That's where it's the truth, because that's what it's lining up to be. It's lining up to be the same thing. The only difference is they're trying to do it as a bigger area. Okay, yeah, we went through the slavery. It was the same thing, but this is on a bigger scale. That's how come they trying to do all this stuff. If you notice it, they trying to cut down on the food supplies. They trying to cut down on the jobs. They trying to cut down on the kids that you having. They trying to cut that. Every time you look around, there's something wrong. If you ever notice it, have you ever looked up the FDA list? Have you ever looked up the FDA list and what the stuff that they have recalls on? Mm-hmm. I'm for real. Yeah, just take your time and go back and look. We done had recall on everything: chicken, beef, baby formula, milk, cheese. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We done had recalls on everything that we eat on a normal daily basis. So if the FDA is having recalls on all this stuff and they're steadily trying to find different ways to fit it in, where so many of us is getting taken away from him, because see, they want to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because of the simple fact that it's true and it's out here, and everybody can look at it like I'm crazy or whatever. But I'm a person that believes in free will, and regardless of whatever choices that you make, whether it's dealing with babies, whether it's dealing with whatever, I don't understand it. How can you want to ban somebody from even through? I can understand even through rape and stuff like that. That do you not know how that makes a woman feel that has been raped and got to carry that child and got to see that child, of somebody that forced themselves on you? That ain't right. That ain't right how you can look at it. But yet it's still, Alabama still got in the law book about if a man have sex with animals. But you talking about a child. Come on now. If y'all got, Alabama got so many stuff lined up for animals that they care more about animals than they do a human. They doing everything that they can to make a human be less than a human. I'm telling you, you better look at it and you better pay attention to it because it's happening. It's happening.
You know, ever since the show began today, you know, I keep paralleling police cars with slave ships, and I think that one of the things that we can look at, you know, part of America's problem is that it's a slave state that never stopped being a slave state. It still has slave attitudes. It still has slavery attitudes. It still has slavery expectations. And I think that so long as that's the case, our rights and our free will, as you so eloquently say, are always going to be in peril, because we've never, America as a state has never shorn that aspect of its interests. It wishes to still have slaves on its soil. It still has indigenous people that it wants to kill. It still has slaves that it wants to incarcerate. And this isn't so much exceptional. It's something that we've accepted as everyday life. It's something that we can ignore while we have our own lives ourselves. And I think that so long as we ignore it, we're always going to come back to this point where we see our rights as in jeopardy, where we see ourselves as in peril, and where we see women being thrown into a place where they have no control over their bodies, and where we're expected to accept that now.
Well, only thing they're doing is extending the rules in prison. Again, that's the reason I asked the question. Women, true or not, are being sterilized in prison?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Women are being forced, they're being forced to have babies. They're being forced. I don't give a damn what you said she let me. She didn't have a choice. Man, you want to hook me up, because if you don't, she won't never call your family. What choice did she have? That's rape. I don't care what you say.
And the prison guard doesn't have to say that. That's implicit in their relationship.
So again, no. Well, he'll say it because she don't want to do it.
But he doesn't have to, because it's implicit in their relationship.
So again, it's all rape. I don't care what you
right.
say. It's all rape. So these rape babies are being forced on your family, because now your family like, Pam, you've been locked up 4 years. Where you get baby from?
Right.
You get consequences? No. Again, they're not, the guards are not providing any medical benefits for the child, and they got great benefits from the states. They're not providing child support, moral support, or anything else. These are all rape. These are all rapes. I don't care how they slice it, and they're walking free. Yeah, exactly.
You know, now that we're approaching the last quarter, or the last segment of the show, you know, I think that it's worthwhile, not for us to answer, but for us and our listeners to think about, if this is the America that we live in, if this is the peril that we are consistently under, what are we going to do about it? Because right now, the instruments that we're being asked to use to address this are incapable of actually fixing the problem. Politicians are making these decisions, and they're also telling you your only solution is to vote for the politicians. What sense does that make?
Exactly.
And again, if you parallel a police car with a slave ship, if you parallel prisons with slavery, if you parallel the way our laws are being enacted to plantation laws, again, you know, the slaves' responses to that wasn't just sitting idly by. It was also, addressing their institution as it was, whether that be a Nat Turner addressing or whether that be running elsewhere. I think that it is worthwhile for us as reasonable political actors to ask ourselves what options are available under and outside of a system that does not give us redress. And again, this is not something that we are going to answer or should answer on air, but it is something that we as listeners should think about, because that is the next step. And part of politics right now is ensuring that we do not think about it in those terms. It's ensuring that we don't think about it in a way where we go, okay, the state's authority is illegitimate. What are we going to do about that?
Right. But see, that's the thing, because when it comes to politics, it's always going to be tricky. Because people always have a hidden agenda. People can come out here and say, vote for me for this reason, that reason, da 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 da. And then, but once you get behind them, to get up there in them offices, it's something different. It's something totally different. So I ain't gonna lie, I got a problem with K.I. I got a real.
You should.
With K.I.
We all do. You're supposed to. I would have a problem with you if you didn't.
Right. I really do. I have a problem with her. But at the end of the day, I'm also thinking about who else.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's Antoine's point.
Yeah, who else? I mean, because whoever else takes the seat,
but same crap.
They gonna tell us, they gonna make promises. Yeah. All of them make promises that they don't keep.
Not to us. Not to us.
So.
Well, they don't keep it to us.
Yeah. I mean, but to be honest, we've never been included in the package. We have never been one that's been included in none of the deals. We've never been a package when it comes down to anything that's been on the table. Never. We've always been the outsiders looking in. Whenever they go to them tables and they make those deals about whatever is going on with the state of Alabama, they're not talking about us. Because to them, we're property. I mean, even locked up or not locked up, at the end of the day, we're property. They're not looking at us as a person. They're talking about their fellow man. And when I say that, I'm talking about these people, these people that sit around here with these high businesses and with these agendas, y'all will be surprised. I know you wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't be surprised. But it's so much that I have learned. And that's why I feel the way that I feel about when we talked about churches. Because a lot of, churches and politics are hand in hand. Because they're using their congregation to spread a word and to feed their people with this propaganda stuff. Because all of it ain't nothing but smoke and mirrors. But they doing it in their churches. And when I say their churches, I'm talking about not the black community churches. They only gonna let the black community churches, the ones that they want to, they'll give them a little bit to let them know, okay, this is finna happen. But they're still not gonna let them in on everything. Because at the end of the day, before you know it, these political people in these churches, you'll know the churches. You gonna know them. Because whenever stuff happen and they make these deals with these people, you will see how big they come up overnight. When they start building and adding, it's a reason. It's a reason for their backing. Trust me.
Before we close out, I just want to remind people that we are still in the midst of a pandemic. Actually of a resurgence, and it's just horrible. It's horrible. Just about 100% of the people that are dying from COVID-19 are unvaccinated.
I just want to say that we are back to 1,500 people dying every day. We're 640,000 people have died of COVID over the past year now. That's World War II numbers. You don't see that represented on the news.
No.
You don't see that talked about in reality. You don't see that reflected in the practices when we go to Walmart and when we go outside. You still see people who are unmasked and coughing in each other's faces. That is the reality that we're in, but we are still in a pandemic. And I'm not going to say that the silence around that fact is intentional, but I think that people should be very careful and very cautious. And part of that caution should be making sure that you get vaccinated. That is the only way to protect yourself during the pandemic. You can't miss the kind of mask that we usually wear. Cloth masks are not good enough to stop Delta. Most of us are not wearing PPE gear or anything like that. Right. We're not wearing N95 masks. Right. They're very expensive, so that's understandable. But the only defense that you have is you can get vaccinated, because otherwise they're going to let you die in these hospitals that are filling up now.
Right. And vaccines are very easy to get. They're free. You can go to Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, any of these big box stores, your local hospital, or a healthcare provider. They're free. Please, please, please wash your hands. Practice social distancing. Wear your mask. Don't gather in large groups. Be careful with your children. Take your children out of these schools until they make it mandatory for these teachers and the staff to be vaccinated. I said it, take your children out of these schools until they make it mandatory. Because we are the ones that are dying.
That's right.
In the largest numbers. We are the ones that are dying. Take your children out of these schools. We just have to do tutoring,
online schooling,
and
nothing.
online schooling. That's right.
Or nothing. Again, this is
You know,
life or death right now.
we have to take this thing seriously. Pam homeschools our own child. Yes, and mine. We just snatched her out. She don't go. I don't care what they say. Okay, so again, get the vaccine, practice social distancing, love one another first and foremost. Love your black brother and your black sister. Love those children.
And remember, getting a vaccine is not about you personally. It's about protecting your community. It's about protecting your parents. It's about protecting your children, your grandparents. It's about ensuring that your community is safe and is not going to be infected because of your choice. It's not about you personally. It's not about how you feel. It's not about how the vaccine makes you feel. It's about how you protect those around you and those in your orbit. Just remember that your vaccination is a community choice. It is not a personal choice.
Exactly. Because just like Pam was taken away from hers and sent to prison, not getting the vaccine and getting COVID is the same thing. Because you leave your children to whom?
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Same thing to stay, so again, wash your hands, mask up, protect, vaccinate, love one another, protect one another, protect one another. Antoine?
Read the land.
Pam? Any final words?
No, the only thing I gotta say is y'all keep your head up. It's gonna get better. Just keep your eyes open and your ears open. Keep praying. It'll get better.
And all power to the people. Till next Saturday, same time. Real Talk with Herschel. We'll see you. Ashe, and go in peace.